Oh, here we go. Hello, everybody. I know it has been quite a few weeks, and I was wanting to record more episodes, but life happens. Shit happens to you that you can't always record every single week that you would always like to do. But we're here now, right before the title games, the NFC and the AFC Championship games. It's the day before, so let's go over all the playoff games together. Let's just get right into it. I don't want to talk about what happened, why I couldn't do it, but it's whatever. You guys don't care about that anyway. So the first game was Seattle and San Francisco. San Francisco crushed them 41-23. Although San Francisco didn't look that great early on in the beginning of the game, like the first half, they turned it on the second half, and all their playmakers came to play. CMC, Debo, Brandon Ayuk, they all stepped up in that game, I remember. And then Seattle put up a pretty good fight. Like I said, they put up a pretty good fight in the first half, but they didn't do enough in the second half, and San Francisco's defense came alive to stop them. The second game, the Jags barely beating the LA Chargers. I thought the Jags were going to win, but I didn't think Trevor Lawrence would throw 4 interceptions in the first half. That was a pretty crazy stat line from Trevor Lawrence. 4 touchdowns and 4 picks. But this... Shut up, my aces. Anyway, so this game, you could either say really the Jags came back and won the game, or the Chargers really just mostly lost the game. But either way, it was pretty nutty. And the next, it's pretty nutty. And Trevor Lawrence looks to be that dude. So does Doug Peterson. Looks to be that he's going to be coach of the year, no matter what happens. Next week, so 3 games on Sunday. The Bills beat the Dolphins barely, which honestly I thought the Bills were going to crush the Miami Dolphins, but Miami came to play. They played each other twice throughout the year, each winning 1 game. I knew that division rivals knew each other pretty well, but I figured that Buffalo was still hot and they're rolling. They're on a pretty good streak, and it didn't look like the Bills were going to be stopped. But Josh Allen did not play that great of a game he did not play that game. He did not play that great of a game, and the Dolphins defense created a couple of turnovers, which is really not unusual, but because it seems like Josh Allen has regressed after losing Brian Daboll for this year. Not he didn't regress terribly, but enough to notice. And speaking of Daboll, he helped lead the Giants to beat the Vikings, which I think a lot of people did pick because the Vikings defense is absolutely terrible. Probably the worst defense in the league, or one of the worst defenses in the league. And Daniel Jones had a hell of a game, so did Saquon Barkley. And there's not much more to say. Kirk Cousins probably isn't that guy, so Minnesota needs to look for another quarterback, probably. The Sunday night game, the Bengals barely beat over the Ravens, even without Lamar Jackson starting. Joe Burrow did his thing, and the offensive line got a little banged up. Even though the offensive line got a little banged up, Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense still did their thing, and the defensive play of the game was that, 98-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. They stopped, what's his fucking name? I don't remember Lamar's backup's name, but he fumbled. He tried sneaking in from the 3. He had to jump over everyone, but the ball got punched out, and Sam Hubbard recovered for a ran all the way 98 yards for a touchdown. So that was a pretty awesome highlight for the Bengals. And then the Monday night game, which I think is absolutely stupid. I will always say that it's stupid of them to have a Monday night football game in the playoffs, because it would have been perfect 3 Saturday games and 3 Sunday games. It was the COVID year when they first did that, and that was perfect. They didn't need to fucking do more. They didn't need to switch one of the games to Monday night. But the NFL, I guess the TV deals need to come through. ESPN needs their Monday night game, even though they were fine doing it on Sunday afternoon, the first COVID year of having 7 teams in the playoffs. But anyway, there's not much. Cowboys crushed the Bucks. I had a feeling the Cowboys were going to win, but I didn't want them to win. Obviously, I thought the Bucks were going to win, but Brady looks old as shit. He did not look like he didn't look like he normally does, even though the offensive line could barely protect them, and the playmakers couldn't really do much. But yeah, so there's not much to say about that. So let's move on to the divisional game. There we are, right here. Divisional game last weekend. So the Chiefs beat the Jaguars barely by a touchdown. I knew the Chiefs were going to win, but I was hoping it would be a close game, and luckily it was. It's unfortunate Patrick Mahomes did get hurt. He had a high ankle sprain, and it was pretty awesome that Chad Henne led them 98 yards for a touchdown. Travis Kelce had I think he either broke the record or tied the record for the most catches by a tight end in the game, which was 14. And I think it's third all time. I don't remember exactly what that stat was, but it was pretty up there. It's pretty unique that Travis Kelce is kicking ass. Well, it's not unique that he's kicking ass, but it's awesome that he's doing that. Still being in the league for what? I don't even know. I think it's his 9th year. But the Jags did put up a somewhat good game, but they couldn't really protect Trevor Lawrence that well. They definitely need help on the offensive and defensive lines. So that's something they can look forward to in the draft or in free agency. But the Jags are going to be staying around for a while. They're going to be a pretty dangerous team. I don't know if they're ever going to be on the Chiefs or Bengals level within these next couple of years with Doug Peterson, but they are going to be a sleeping contender, I think. And the Chiefs are just going to be the Chiefs. They're going to always. This is their 5th AFC title game that they're going to in a row. So they're going to be staying around for a while. They're going to try to go after. They're going to try to break the Patriots record. I think it was 8 in a row from 2011 to 2018. So yeah, the Chiefs are going to be going to title games for at least another 4 or 5 years and breaking that record. And here it is, the best game of the weekend. My Eagles crushing the Giants. Everyone's like, oh, the Eagles couldn't do anything against. They didn't end the season well. The Giants came in rolling. But you clearly saw the talent difference between the two teams. The Eagles are talented everywhere, all over the field, more than the Giants. And we came in, we crushed it, we stopped Daniel. Daniel Jones did not have a good game at all, passing or running the football. Saquon Barkley barely had any rushing yards. And none of their play, they barely got anyone open. Jonathan Gannon did a great job of scheming up a nice plan against the Giants. He got 5 sacks. Hassan Reddick had 2, which was really great. He's really come on in these playoffs. And we're going to need that same type of defensive performance against the whoever we face, which is the 49ers. But we'll go over that game in a second. This game was the Bills and Bengals game was the most surprising game of the weekend, in my opinion, because we expected it to be a dogfight, we expected it to be the best game, the best overall game of the weekend. We expected the Bengals and Bills to go back and forth, but that didn't happen. The Bills, they came out flat-footed. They were down 14-0. The Bengals were up 14-0, and they never looked back. They came in with a great game plan. Zach Taylor is looking like a really great coach now. We all questioned it at first, his first couple of years, even though they had a bad team, bad offensive line. They had the number 1 pick. 2020, Joe Burrow got hurt, and it seems like Zach Taylor was on his way out. But then 2021 happened. They got hot at the right time. They made it the Super Bowl, obviously, and came with a couple of plays of winning it. But anyway, enough about Zach Taylor. This game, Bengals, they came out, they did the right thing. They ran the football really well in the snow. The Bills, I don't know what the Bills were thinking. I don't know what Ken Dorsey was thinking. But clearly they need to work on their running game. They need help on their offensive and defensive line because they can barely protect Josh Allen and they can barely get to Joe Burrow. And I know it sucks losing Von Miller, but you can't let one guy be your whole pass rush. So that's something the Bills are going to need to work on. And meanwhile, the Bengals will be playing the Chiefs in another rematch for the AFC title game. Fun fact, it's the first time we had back-to-back title game matches since 2011 and 2012 where the Ravens and Patriots played each other back-to-back. First time Pats won, the second time the Ravens won. Now, Bengals won last year. Let's see what happens next week. We'll go over that, get a little over the analysis in a little bit. And then finally, the 49ers barely beat the Dallas Cowboys 19-12. Brock Purdy did not look like his best. He really came down to a couple of plays. The one play, that ridiculous catch by George Kittle, and a lot of bounced balls from Cowboy defenders. They couldn't get intercept. They couldn't get turnovers themselves. The defense couldn't get turnovers themselves. The only turnover the 49ers gave up was the special teams fumble. And as for Dallas, Dak Prescott is. it's great for me, but for Cowboys fans, they're hating Dak Prescott. He threw 2 interceptions. You can't win the game against a 49ers defense like that because Brock Purdy can manage the game well just enough to not lead to see the turnovers and to lose the game for the 49ers. Because even though that's only what he did, he didn't really win the game. He just didn't lose the game. But the Cowboys defense did a pretty good job against the Niners offense. And I'm hoping that helps us. This helps us tomorrow. As we're going to quickly go over the championship games and my predictions for the Super Bowl. First is my Philadelphia Eagles against San Francisco. San Francisco hasn't been on the road in a while. I think since like week 16 or 15. It's been like a month since they've been on the road anywhere. They've been home a lot. And as great as a story as Brock Purdy has been, how great he's looked, I don't think he's going to play well against us. I genuinely believe that he is going to lose the game for the 49ers. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a close fucking game. It's going to be a street fight against the 49ers. But I think the Eagles will do everything well enough to win. They will run the ball. The playmakers will make plays. Jalen Hurts will take care of the football enough to outlast the 49ers. And I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's going to be a score of like 23-20 us. And it's going to be a street fight. It's not going to be easy at all. And I'm not saying this to disrespect the 49ers in any way, shape, or form, but that's me paying my compliments. I'm not cocky in this game at all. Like, I'm confident that we're going to win, but I'm not cocky. I'm not going to say we're going to crush them 38-7 like we did with New York last week or against the Vikings when we won the Super Bowl. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with this game. I think the Eagles are going to win and make it to the Super Bowl. And Bengals and Chiefs is going to be... I would say it'd be harder to predict, but the Bengals were 3-0 against the Chiefs in 2022 alone. With the road game, with the game at home against them near the end of the last season. The AFC Championship game, and then again this year in November. The Bengals have the Chiefs' number right now, and if Patrick Mahomes was 100% healthy, I would say it'd be a closer game, but I think the Bengals are going to win by at least a touchdown. Because I think the Bengals, whatever the Bengals do, they seem to have the secret formula, the secret sauce to stop Kansas City. So, and Chiefs defense, even though they have Frank Clark and they have Chris Jones, but other than that, their other defensive players aren't really as great. And I like what's that linebacker's name? Nick Bolton, that's his name. Yeah, Nick Bolton is a really good linebacker, but I don't think he's enough of a playmaker yet to make a difference for the Chiefs defense. And the Bengals they'll do what they did last week. They're going to run the football. They're going to run the football really well with Joe Mixon, and they're going to throw the ball to Jamar Chase. He's going to have himself a game, and I think the Super Bowl game is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And you'll get my predictions for that next weekend. So I know it's kind of a short episode. I mean, all the episodes have been pretty short, but still, I haven't been doing this as much as I want to. I'm trying to get back into it. Like I said, a lot of things are happening in my life personally, and I just need to get through everything right now. So until next week, peace out.